We'll wait for 5 seconds. Maybe we'll let some participants join.
I'll wait for it to.
Yeah. I think we can start.
Okay, so I'll start. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the HYSEA Cloud Center of Excellence launch event. I am Isaac Rajkumar, Managing Director, India and Senior Vice President Engineering at OpenText. I am also HYSEA Joint Secretary and Executive Committee member. I want to welcome everyone who are part of the program today and the audience for joining us for the Cloud CoE launch. I want to welcome the Chief Guest, Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, IAS, Principal Secretary, IT/E&C Department, Telangana, and the guest of honor, Mr. Narasimha Rao, Executive Vice President, Infosys. I also want to welcome our esteemed panel that is made of Mr. Sridhar Pinnappa Reddy, Chairman, Controllers and Cloud4C, Mr. MSV Janaki Ram, Analyst, Advisor and Architect, Mr. Kiran Desai, Co-founder and Vice President of Engineering, Freshworks, and Ms. Ramadevi Lanka, who is Director, Emerging Technologies and OSD, IT/E&C Department, Telangana. Welcome, everyone. On a brief about HYSEA and the Innovation Forum, HYSEA is a 30-year-old IT industry organization and has more than 300 registered members that represent nearly 90% of Telangana's IT/ITES industry revenue and employees. The HYSEA Innovation Forum, along with many other forums, this forum focuses on promoting, recognizing, and encouraging innovation across member companies, grassroots level innovation involving technology, and also involved in academia-focused innovation programs. Amongst its many initiatives, this Cloud Center of Excellence is an initiative of HYSEA's Innovation Forum. In terms of the scope of this Cloud CoE, it would contribute to strengthening the cloud ecosystem towards enhancing knowledge, building employable skills, supporting startups, and in partnership with government and key technology providers, foster a culture of research and provide infrastructure for creating products, testing, and delivery. The program today starts with a panel discussion that is moderated by Mr. Ramesh Swaminathan, who is Director of Program Management at Informatica. That will be followed by the address by HYSEA President, Mr. Bharani Arol, and then the guest of honor. After that, the chief guest will launch the HYSEA Cloud CoE and will deliver his address. Once again, I want to extend a warm welcome to everyone for the launch of this important initiative. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Isaac, and thank you for setting the context for the event today. Before I introduce, I hand over to Ramesh. It is a pleasure to introduce, he will be moderating today's session. Ramesh Swaminathan is the Director of Product Management at Informatica in the Data Governance and Privacy Group. He has 20 years of experience in product management working in CA Technologies, now Broadcom, and open text before joining Informatica about 7 years ago. His recent experience has been developing cloud-first, cloud-native privacy solution in the cloud. He's also a mentor at T-Hub and associated with the HYSEA Innovation Forum for the past 1 year. He's part of the group at HYSEA that conceptualized the cloud CoE and is working with various entities, including government, cloud service providers, and the IT industry to operationalize this CoE. I now hand it over to Ramesh. Over to you, Ramesh.
Thank you, Neeraja. Thanks for the introduction. My name is Ramesh, and as Neeraja has provided my introduction, I would like to introduce our esteemed panelists. I would like to first thank our esteemed panelists for taking their time from their busy schedule for this panel discussion today, and hope you all enjoy this panel discussion. Feel free to ask your questions in the Q&A section of the Zoom link, which should be at the bottom of your screen, and we will answer those questions as we go by. The first panelist for today is Mr. Sridhar Pinapreddy. He is not anybody new to our Telangana ecosystem. He's the chairman at Controllers and Cloud4C. He is a first generation entrepreneur and innovator, founder and chairman, Controllers, Cloud4C, and other group companies. Controllers owns and operates world's largest tier 4 data centers, while Cloud4C provides cloud managed services with presence in about 25 countries. The group today has about 1,800 employees, serves 20 plus global Fortune 100 multinationals. These are very fast growing companies in their industries. Sridhar has spearheaded over 200 innovations, including being the most energy efficient tier 4 data center, DR as a service, 4-copy cloud, banking community cloud, which was famously at one point in time called as Bank in a Box, and ERP as a service, among others. Sridhar invests a majority of his spare time on understanding disruptive technologies and how they affect our life and industry. It's that interest that is bringing him today to our panel discussion, and he's going to share with us his experiences in evolving cloud services from a traditional industry. And he's going to talk about opportunities that we have in this industry as the cloud technologies matures. The next panelist we have is Janaki Ram, MSv. He is an internationally recognized analyst, advisor, and architect in the field of microservices, Internet of Things, edge computing, and AI. He was the founder and CTO of Get Cloud Ready Consulting. It was a niche cloud migration and operations firm that was acquired by Aditi Technologies. Through his speaking, writing, and analysis, he helps businesses take advantage of emerging technologies. He is a technology guru, I would say. He's a regular contributor to various articles in Forbes and the News Stack. His articles are published very regularly at Business Insider, Computer Weekly, Tech Republic, and Your Story. He is also an advisor to a couple of Bay Area startups in the container storage, edge computing, and machine learning domains. Janaki Ram is also an adjunct faculty at IIT Hyderabad, where he teaches big data, cloud computing, containers, and DevOps to the students who are enrolled for the master's course. Janaki Ram today in this panel is going to provide his vast experience and knowledge to us, to all of us, to learn what are the different areas of technologies that we can upskill, the various upcoming technologies, and how we can upskill them to gain knowledge in these areas. We also have Kiran Darisi. He is part of the founding team and is the vice president of engineering at Freshworks. He currently heads the Architecture Council and Site Reliability Engineering at Freshworks. Freshworks is a grounds up cloud-built CRM company. He will talk a lot more about what his company does. He's also a limited type partner in a few funds like IC, Opeka, 100X, VC, etc. And he's for some of us in the startup ecosystem, he's not new. He's always ready to help some of the startups, be a technical mentor to startups, and ready to help us. Before Freshworks, he was in Zoho. We also have our fourth but not the least esteemed panelist, Ramadevi Lanka, who has taken time from her busy schedule. She is a director, emerging technologies and OSD. IT department, Government of Telangana. She has got an illustrious career, a career spanning different domains from civil engineering to information technology to e-governance across government, NGOs, private and startup companies located in India and US. In various skill sets, including IT consulting, IT strategy, product development, program management, designing and procurement of infrastructure projects and e-governance programs. She played a very active role in the Digital India growth story by way of conceptualizing and design of a number of e-governance projects, and were crucial in bringing in reforms and transformation in various domains, such as healthcare, visa immigration, civil aviation, atomic energy, education, and urban local bodies. She actually helped formulate the strategy for implementation of the Meghraj policy of cloud for Government of India, and to enable cloud adoption by the government departments at state, center, developed a strategy, toolkit, and procurement guidelines. Before this, she had a stint at Silicon Valley in the US, where she worked in a few startup companies in product development using cutting edge technologies. Thank you, Ramagaru. Thank you for joining us today in this panel. With that, I would like to open up the discussion and the panelists. And what I want to talk about today is if I go around the various panelists, right? I would like to start off with a brief discussion wherein Mr. Sridhar can actually come in, because he has come in he is a first generation entrepreneur. He started Control S, which is still one of the flagship companies in Hyderabad, and then evolved it into a cloud service company as cloud technologies evolved. Sridhar, can you give us a brief about how your services evolved, your organization evolved, and how you looked at cloud opportunities and you could pivot to cloud-based services as you were running a very successful operation at Control S?
Thank you, Ramesh. And first of all, let me congratulate Barney, Srinivas, and HYSEA team for coming up with this cloud CoE idea. And thanks, Ramesh, for conceptualizing and making it a success by bringing into the stage of launching it. It's heartening to see HYSEA take up the initiative for the cloud industry. I'm sure it'll help a lot of players in the ecosystem. Coming to Control S and Cloud4C's story, 13, 14 years ago, I was watching internet services industry because I was one of the players, and I see fiber going to every home, every office, and suddenly we were talking about from 33.6 to 66 kbps to that of 10 Mbps and 100 Mbps bandwidth. And I was also watching the data center industry, and which was only all the companies would keep their website in a data center. That's about it. And e-commerce companies would use it a little bit more. And period. There ends the matter about data centers, because data centers were super expensive and connecting them was a hassle. So there is no way enterprise IT could have worked. But when I saw fiber going, that's when I got this idea that, enterprise IT can be served from data centers. What you call cloud today, or large hyperscale data centers. That was my thought. That thought excited me, and jumped into the data center industry despite everyone saying it's a suicidal, because most of the data centers global leaders went bankrupt just a few years before we started. Yeah. So that's how our journey started. We started with like 60, 70 racks, and it's no more. The industry is on a 3 kVA rack, but it is now measured in terms of megawatts. We have done over 100 megawatt of data centers constructed and operating right now, and we conceptualized another 600 megawatt as of now, and various stages of planning and land acquisition, construction. Some of them, the Bombay 250 megawatt data center is going live. First phase is going live, in the next 2 months. And there are about 6 more phases to that campus in Bombay. So that's where we are, and where we are going as controllers is considered. We are setting up edge DCs almost all in almost all important state capitals. Then a few the micro edge data centers that we are planning. Now those could be in thousands of numbers. We are looking at going international. Bring in sustainability by setting up solar wind plants to power these data centers, establishing a metro LAN we started a new controllers NLD services there are some gaps in the telecom industry. We want to fulfill those and also create a rich ecosystem of enterprises connecting to each other, bringing in all the internet exchanges. These are some of the initiatives that we are currently working on, and also going global with all of these business models. 80% of the countries in the world don't have world-class data centers which are suitable for hyperscalers. So we put together a global team to go quite ambitious plans for Control ST. That's where we are. And cloud was an interesting story. While we were providing within Controllers, we realized that the skills, the management, the balance sheet, the overall, the system which is needed to run a cloud company and a data center company was separate. So we built separate team. Yeah, we created a new management team, new company, and started off as a 4-copy cloud product, our own cloud product. And then we saw an opportunity in tier 2 countries across the world. So we went into 26 countries, established our 52 data centers we have established cloud pods, and brought in some global customers, and added application management services like SAP, Bank in a Box, and added compliance service, and got certified the company across many governments like Australia, Saudi, or US to provide compliant-based services. So, and one after the other, each of these initiatives made sure that the company grew almost double the speed that of Controllers. Today, it's almost equal to that of Controllers in about 6 to 7 years.
Perfect, amazing story, Sridhar. I mean, I will ask you a few more questions on this, because this story is what inspires a lot of companies, a lot of us, to actually look at, starting out new services, products in the cloud, right? I mean, it was an amazing success story that we want to learn more about. While on that, I will move on to Kiran. Kiran has a more interesting story too. So I saw from their website that their company started off because one of their founders could not get to a TV technician to fix their TV before a cricket match about 10 years ago. Kiran, can you talk a little bit more how Freshworks evolved and where you are today?
Sure, I'll do that. So the story is, we started in a warehouse of a 600 square feet of warehouse in a remote place in Chennai called Kilkatlai. 6 of us, the founding team, we are all from Zoho, and we started this. This is in 2010, right? So now it's been a decade. Now where we are, at that point of time, innocently thinking that we can build a world-class product from Chennai suburbs to the world, right? So after 10 years, now we recently crossed $300 million of revenue, and we have 8 products online, and we do best-in-class customer engagement and employee engagement products. And Gartner recently named us as visionary in CRM space. Consecutively is the second year, right? That is where we are right now in terms of the company. And the origin of the story is, so Girish, actually, our CEO, shifted from US to India. He shipped his, the television set from there. So it got broken, and he has an insurance policy. So he contacted him, sent him mails, all these things, right? So what he did is he got pissed off, and he actually went into this Return to India forums, and he posted saying that, okay, I'm shipping this. I got this insurance and he's not responding, right? So the next day, the CEO of the company contacted him and actually refunded his money, etc. Right? Then he thought about, right? So now the traditional way of customer support is not there anymore, right? So now the support is everywhere. Either it can be from the Twitter or a chat or your website, email, everywhere, right? So then he conceptualized the idea of Freshdesk as an omni-channel customer support, so that the customers can reach businesses anywhere we want to, right? So so that is the origin of the idea, and we started 10 years back, all these things. From day zero, we are like, we want to be a global company, and we want to, because we actually had this idea, right? So on the, somebody built the product from India, they think it's cheaper, but we don't want to do it. We wanted to build the best-in-class, world-class product from the day zero. And definitely cloud is a platform actually helped us to go global from day zero, right? And even when we are growing exponentially, the public cloud actually helped us to grow with us. It's not we managing the entire infra ourselves, right? So we are putting in infra. Sridhar has a different story because he managed and he brought it. He had the racks, etc. But we had a different thing. We leveraged the public cloud and able to deliver it to our customers so that they can be serve their customers better, right? So that's how we did it. And yeah, for the past decade, it's going well, and we are growing exponentially even now. We are actually keep on dreaming of doing $1 million ARR, right? So the first $1 million ARR. Now we are almost doing $1 million per day, right? So that is how we transformed from there to here. But each million is a different hurdle altogether, right? So
yeah,
so
yeah. Thanks, Kiran. I mean, it's an interesting story in the sense that cloud was an enabler, because cloud enabled you to build a product that could be consumed across the globe, right? You didn't think about solving a specific problem sitting in Chennai, but because you had the cloud infrastructure, you didn't have to worry about the infrastructure piece. You were worrying more on the services, on the feature pieces of the functionality that you want to provide to your customers. You could scale up pretty quickly and spread to providing solutions to global companies, right? That's another piece that we'll have to learn, where cloud is an enabler, is a global enabler. It's providing opportunities wherein you could build products, solutions, services that can be accessed from across the globe. I would like to, ask Ms. Ramadevi to introduce herself here, and if she can talk about the cloud initiatives that the government has been doing. I know cloud in Telangana, the government has been a very major consumer of the cloud, and where the government of Telangana has an ambitious plan to move all the services that the government provides to cloud. Ramadevi, can you please provide some inputs on that?
Sure. Thank you, Ramesh. And thank you, HYSEA team, for inviting me as part of this panel. Well, most of you might be aware that we in the sense the government has identified key technologies that it would focus on, AI, ML, blockchain, IoT, and of course, cloud is one of the important technologies that cuts across these these emerging technologies. So realizing that, the benefits of the inherent benefits of cloud, we wanted all the government departments also to move to cloud. In fact, I, as Ramesh has, mentioned it during the while introducing me, that I actually initially worked with Government of India in framing the cloud strategy, Meghraj cloud strategy for the Indian government. Later on, when I joined the Telangana government, incidentally, my first presentation that I gave to the minister was also on cloud. What should be the strategy of the government, in moving to cloud and in adoption of cloud services. Well, for all these new technologies like AI, ML, blockchain, and so on, it's a twin objective that we have. One is, how do we develop the ecosystem in the state? How do we make the ecosystem conducive for companies to come and grow here in these technologies, And just to share my recent experience, I think day before yesterday, Goldman Sachs actually launched its office in Hyderabad, and they said they're going to set up an engineering office here, branch here, which will be working on AI, ML, and blockchain. Before that, the country head, in fact, spoke to me, trying to understand what the government is doing in these technologies, and he was very much impressed, with the kind of initiatives that the government is working in these technologies, especially, these emerging technologies. So yeah, coming back to the cloud, as I said, so since, as I said, twin objective, one is to see how we develop the ecosystem, and the other is more important to us, how do we leverage these technologies within the government? For the other technologies, we do that, but for cloud, we are currently focusing only on adoption. Because the reason is that for us, at least the government, cloud is pretty mature technology, and there are a number of cloud service providers that are offering these services. MeitY has empaneled about, MeitY in the sense Ministry of IT has empaneled more than 15 companies, I think, and of course we have amongst us Control as own homegrown company, which is empaneled with MeitY. So government is one of the major consumers of infrastructure services, and we want the government departments, realize the benefits of cloud. Increased speed and agility is one thing, on-demand services, elasticity, the whole breadth of services that are available out there, and of course pay as you go, as you use, and so on. So one of the biggest challenges for the government is, if you want to increase our infrastructure capacity, the procurement process is quite lengthy and complicated. So cloud really offers the benefits that I mentioned, really helps governments, to avail these services quickly. So to actually, help the government departments, we came out with the cloud framework documents. It's a sort of guidelines that we prepared, which makes it easier for the government departments to move to cloud. What are the kind of services that are available out there? What is the procurement process? How should the contracts be aligned to the cloud? Once the contracts are completely different when you're actually procuring cloud services when compared to the conventional, infrastructure services. How, the government departments, how should they align their contracts now, to the cloud procurements and so on? And we also came out with a government order, in fact, which is very unique, mandating all the departments to move to cloud. Of course, we also indicated certain scenarios where they're supposed to move to cloud, because we don't expect them to move, on the fly, like when the infrastructure is getting obsolete, or they need to, or they're coming out with a new project. So cloud first should be the policy, and so on. And in this process, we also realized we need expertise to handle the department. So we in fact planned a center of excellence in cloud. So I know what are the different expertise areas that we need to actually bring in within the government. So it's in the planning stage, and now today's launch of the Center of Excellence by HYSEA would actually complement our initiatives, our government initiatives. So I hope we'll be able to leverage, the CoE services going forward. Yeah, thank you, Ramesh.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for coming in and talking about the government initiative. When I first talked to you about the government initiatives, we were very excited to look at how aligned we were in our thought process from a government and from an industry body perspective on taking this to the next level, right? Thanks, Ramadevi. Now I would like to, briefly move on to Mr. Janakiram, who's an industry veteran again, and who's a technology leader, and help us understand where the technology landscape is and what are the different parts that we need to look at from a technology perspective. And upskilling is something that we all have been talking about, all organizations, industry, government, we have been talking about people upskilling, because that's absolutely essential for the adoption of the cloud. The cloud technology per se is matured and is evolving. But then for having employable skills, for having people who can work in these technologies is a key driver for all of us. So Janakiram, can you please give a brief about yourself, how you have been working in these evolving technology areas, and what as employees, as students, as people as working professionals we should be looking at?
Sure. So first of all, it's an absolute privilege to be a part of this panel. So as Neeraja and Ramesh introduced, my name is Janakiram. I'm based out of Hyderabad. And I'm one of the very early beneficiaries of the technology revolution that took place in Hyderabad 2 decades ago. So I started my career at Microsoft when it was still very new. It was operating out of Cyber Towers in High-Tech City back then. I joined Microsoft as an intern in '98 and spent a couple of years learning various technologies, and then became a full-time employee of Microsoft in 2000 and been with Microsoft till 2010. In 2010, 2011, when Amazon was setting up their Asia Pacific business, particularly the AWS side of business, I was again fortunate to join AWS as their first employee in India, based out of Bangalore. And I was responsible for the entire ecosystem building and representing Amazon across multiple businesses. So I still remember in 2008, I represented Microsoft and spoke at HYSEA Technology Day on what is cloud computing. And it was very early. I was actually talking about Azure and how web services were leading the next revolution in terms of cloud computing. And from there to where we are, we have come a long way. So when it comes to cloud, there was a time when cloud was a very niche technology, cutting edge, and it was looked at from a distance as something very unique and something very special. And it was almost a privilege to claim that you are a part of the cloud industry, but not anymore. One of the fundamental shifts that took place in the last decade is cloud is IT. Earlier cloud was a technology, it was a niche, but now cloud is IT. Pretty much a startup to an enterprise can run their entire back office, their entire backend in the cloud virtually. So today, cloud is not a niche specialized skill or a technology, but it is relevant and aligned with anyone who's a part of the IT industry. So you cannot look at that as a separate skill or a specialized skill. It's an integral part of IT. That's the first thing to know. The second thing is, during the early days of cloud, there was this differentiation of infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. But interestingly, after a decade or so, those lines are completely blurred. In fact, Sridhar can validate this. Today, no one talks about IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS because those lines are completely blurred. And developers are provisioning infrastructure, which was typically done by administrators. And infrastructure administrators are writing code to automate and provision infrastructure. And then there are a lot of SaaS businesses that are emerging on cloud. So the differentiation and the lines between each of these layers is completely blurred. So what does it really mean to businesses? What does it really mean to aspiring professionals and even students who are looking at building their career? Well, the first thing is you need to understand the building blocks of infrastructure and the whole cloud architecture. It is not very complex. It is becoming very accessible and easy to understand. But it all starts from an operating system. If you are an aspiring professional and you want to start your cloud journey, I would say master Linux. That is the fundamental building block on which the cloud is built. There was a time when Windows was one of the most popular operating system. It is still, but when it comes to server side and when it comes to powering the cloud stack, it is all about Linux. So if you are planning to build a career, master Linux. Ubuntu, Red Hat, SUSE, it doesn't matter, but you need to be very proficient in Linux. The second thing is automation. Now, automation is writing scripts that will automate repetitive tasks. Automation is not a very complex or a specialized or a niche technology. You should be proficient in basic scripting so that you can automate repetitive tasks to avoid human error. So that is the second most important technology. And when it comes to automation, there are a set of tools. For example, there are Python-based scripts like Ansible. And then there's a company called HashiCorp that is building a lot of automation tools. Pick one stream and learn the automation technologies to provision, configure, and terminate instances and tearing down infrastructure. Basically, the ability to handle the entire life cycle of infrastructure from simple scripts and code. That is the second important thing. Third thing is, I'm sure most of you are aware of DevOps, but DevOps is a moving target. There is nothing that defines DevOps in stone. So you got to learn how DevOps works. Basically, how do you take a piece of code written by a developer and deploy it in the cloud, make it secure, scalable, available, reliable. So that is DevOps. That is the most in-demand, hottest trend today. So those are the building blocks, I would say. Learn operating system along with virtualization, learn automation, invest in skills that will help you script and automate a variety of things. Then take that to the next level by learning DevOps and own the entire life cycle of application management, all the way from code till it is provisioned and it is going into production. So these are the fundamental building blocks that you need to be ready with. And then you can actually choose a stream. Just like 10 years ago, IT was software development, software testing, network administration, and so on. Today, within the cloud, there are many streams. You could actually choose database as a service and learn how to administer databases in the cloud. NoSQL databases, graph databases, time series databases, relational databases. So databases is one stream. Storage is another stream. Object storage, block storage, file storage, and so on. And then security is a big theme within the cloud. Then we have network with hybrid cloud, where enterprises are extending their on-prem data center to the cloud. You need to be well versed with hybrid computing and hybrid cloud. So that is another stream. And then you have things like AI and ML, for which the cloud is the powerhouse. And then you have blockchain, then even some of the emerging technologies like quantum computing, Internet of Things, edge computing, all of them are different streams. But before you get to any of these streams, make sure you are clicking all the right checkboxes, learn an operating system, be thorough with virtualization, learn automation, understand how DevOps and lifecycle management works. Now, once you are equipped with these prerequisites and fundamentals, pick your stream and invest in it. So cloud is not just one black box or an opaque technology. Cloud is the industry today. And just like you cannot be a master of everything, you got to handpick your stream, pick your battles, and go into the depth of it. Like, as I mentioned, you could choose compute as a stream, databases as a stream, network, storage, hybrid, AI, ML, storage, and like there are 6 to 7 different streams, and they are expanding. So pick one and invest in that.
Thank you. That was really enlightening. I think we should do a full 1 hour session, Jankiram, on this at some point in time. 10 minutes is not good enough for getting into the details of this, but we will definitely do that at some point in time. Thank you. Thanks for this insights. One of the things that I want to ask, I come from, I'm in Informatica for the past 7 years. One of the major challenges that our customers have been dealing with is what we call as the move to cloud journey. Large enterprises want to adopt cloud. As you said, cloud is the industry today. It is like everybody wants to move to cloud, and everybody wants to move their traditional production systems to cloud. And that's been a challenge in the sense that it's not easy. I mean, digital transformation initiatives run across a minimum of 4 to 5 years from the time it is started in a large corporate, right? So given that, right, I would like to pick all the panelists' brain on what are the challenges these enterprises see, and where are the gaps in the products, solutions, or services being offered, which is an opportunity for companies to build new services, new solutions, and products. Cloud as such is a mature technology. The technology as such is mature. As Jankiram rightly said, it has been around for more than 10 years now, and solutions are pretty much matured in that space. But adoption is not easy, right? Migration to cloud services is not easy, right? That's where I want to pick your brains, and from your experiences working with customers, from your experiences working with various enterprises, what are the challenges that you see? And for me, whenever there is a challenge, there's an opportunity associated with it, right? I would like to also look at what are those opportunities that challenges bring for all of us here, looking at adopting cloud, understanding cloud, learning cloud, right? So anybody can go first. Maybe I picked Sridhar to go first because we started with him.
Yeah. I mean, Cloud4C is a classic example of this. The biggest challenge that I see in cloud was 6 years ago, all hyperscalers were only in 6 countries.
Absolutely.
Maximum. Even today, 10 to 12 countries. They're not present rest of the world. Now that's the first opportunity Cloud4C has used. So it was an instant success. Some of the global organizations need cloud capacities all over, and that's what the needs met by Cloud4C. Even today, almost all the countries have come up with the data sovereignty laws. And of course, small, mid SMEs may not adhere to it. They would put their instances anywhere in the world. They don't care much. But let's say highly regulated industries, banking, the government itself, or the insurance and other financial related companies, large conglomerates, and big responsible corporates will not be able to take the chance. They would want to host it in their country. So that's opportunity number one. Most of Africa unrepresented, most of Eastern Europe unrepresented, South America, most of the countries unrepresented. You'll be surprised, even Southeast Asia, even the Middle East, many of the countries are unrepresented. So that's one. Second, that I see opportunity is the migration. Migration involves a big pain for all enterprises, large enterprises especially. Even mid to large enterprises, migration is a huge challenge because the systems are so complex and so many applications, interlinkages, and they won't be able to afford the downtime, and they're not sure how it'll work on the cloud, and connectivity issues. I mean, there are a host of, it's a major hassle for a CIO, and that's the biggest blocker for cloud adoption by enterprises. But that's the biggest opportunity for entrepreneurs. So what we have done, for example, is, when it comes to SAP workloads, probably our guys do it at 1/10 the time of a typical system integration company, large system integration company, whether it's Accenture or IBM. So that's our opportunity. And we have done over 180 very large migration projects, SAP projects. Most of them are Fortune 500 companies. And we migrated them onto cloud. And since we are also present in most of these countries, so we could migrate them directly onto our own cloud as well. We have done public cloud migrations as well. We are the largest partner for Azure in some of the countries. We are their global expert managed service provider. Plus also we are advanced consulting partner for AWS. And we've been featured in the new report, which is coming up. We are also featured as public cloud transformation Gartner Magic Quadrant player, global player. And so there are a few other challenges. For example, security is a huge challenge.
Yep.
Those companies which can address the security challenges of the organizations successfully on cloud, or they will be lapped up by these players and take them, and the flood of inquiries keep coming. That's some of the areas why we got our business from public cloud providers, especially, and another, for example, compliance services. Each of the industry has a certain compliances which need to be done, and doing them on cloud is tricky or different or new, which is an opportunity for players. That's what Cloud4C has done, and won at least 20% of its business because Cloud4C has certified to handle even the most confidential data of Australian government, or a GXP compliance program, or a Saudi Arabia's compliance program. So many of the customers that we won belong to some of these criteria. And most important, the biggest opportunities that I see for, that's where our journey is also going, future journey of Cloud4C. We acquired recently 3 companies, one in robotic process automation, one in advanced technologies on SAP ERP systems, one on process mining technology developer, and we're looking at a few others to acquire. What are we going to do is to help our customers in their digital transformation journey. The idea is to take them and get them ready for the current and the future world. And in that process, I see a number of opportunities, especially for upcoming new entrepreneurs. More than cloud, I think doing these little things around on cloud towards the digital transformation of the enterprises makes a big difference globally. I mean, these companies can scale globally overnight, and at the moment, at least one service that they have.
Perfect. That's a lot. I mean, I was just taking down notes. You have given 10 bullet points of opportunities, Sridhar.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And
I'm super excited. I'm working on all of them. Yeah.
And each one of these, though might look small, but I can understand, right? Compliance itself, I know is Gartner has calculated is a $700 million business for 2021. I'm not talking about future growth for this year alone, right? So each one of these is a huge, big business, and creating some of these niche technology solutions that you can take to market across the globe is like amazing. I mean, we are not even talking about certain things like data sovereignty and things like that, right? That's again going to bring in a lot more opportunities as we go in, right? So absolutely thrilled to look at the opportunities. I mean, we have the technology, we have the skill sets. This is where we need to bring things together and start building solutions so that companies like Control S can acquire, maybe, right? I mean, I know larger companies might not have the bandwidth to actually build some of these niche technologies and solutions, and this really is a big opportunity for a lot of emerging startups and SMEs in this space. Thanks, Sridhar. Moving on to Kiran. Kiran Freshworks has a marketplace. I know that there are like, partners of Freshworks, even customers who go in and build solutions on Freshworks and put them on the marketplace, and they make more money sometimes, I guess, than Freshworks at some point in time. Kiran, you want to talk about how you can build solutions using your marketplace, other marketplace like Salesforce, ServiceNow, right? Or even the AWSs and Azures of the world, right? Where you can go in and build your own solutions and bring it to market very quickly. You want to touch into some of those aspects, Kiran?
Yeah, sure. So once you have grown the product to a platform, so now the customers wanted to use however they want to, right? So there is a lot of opportunity where individual players can become as partners for Freshworks or Salesforce or anybody, and they can build the ecosystem on top of it. And these are only B2B products, right? That's what we do. But if you actually even take B2C products like Shopify, even those has a very mature platforms where you can build marketplaces. And there are a lot of companies which got acquired, and they're doing pretty well in terms of the revenue, etc., right? And most of the scaling is done by the platforms itself, like the Freshworks itself. You're doing on top of it using our SDK, and just extending our features to your own customized features, right? So that is one thing. And regarding the cloud, right? So I had the site reliability engineering. I'm responsible for the reliability, cost, and performance, all these 3 things, right? So the cloud spending last year, right? So it's around 360 billion, right? So out of which infra, it's around 70 to 100 billion, right? So in different things, SaaS, PaaS, all these things. The cost management itself is a bigger market. You can see lots and lots of companies around that. And now think of it, right? There are around 500 companies which has been funded for the 6 months, and they need to spend that money, right? And to grow exponentially, they will not have the expertise on the first year to control or manage the cloud growth, as well as the automation of it. So the entire cloud automation of, okay, you have the code and you need to deploy, you need to manage, monitor, and scale it, as well as you need to actually have the compliance so that you can able to prove the world or tell the customers that I am compliant enough or secured enough to do it. So even automation of each one of these pieces itself is a business, right? So you have businesses who are let's say orchestrating the compliance or orchestrating the deployment or monitoring management, all those things. And this is one thing. And the other thing is, we did a survey at Freshworks where we see that IT actually deployed AI/ML or soon to deploy. When we did the survey, it is like 93% of them told us, right? So which means that without AI/ML, which the IT managers, they don't want to deploy their backend. They want to automate a lot of stuff because they want to give the best of the experience to the employees, right? As well as the same thing with the business, right? So with the pandemic, we kind of fast forwarded the digital transformation, all the companies, right? All the enterprises. And now they want to be with the customers as close as possible. And the companies like Freshworks are helping them to digitize it and be nearer to the customer and give them the best of the service. And the same thing is going with the IT doing with the employees, right? So it's a huge opportunities. It depends on the TAM is so much. It's only how much we can execute and how many people can take up those opportunities, right? So it is good everywhere around the world.
Sure. Thanks, Kiran. There are quite a few questions in the Q&A section, but before going to the questions, I would like to briefly, talk to Ramadevi Garu, talk about the opportunities that the government provides, the whole digital transformation initiative at the government of Telangana, right, that you have undertook, itself throws a lot of, I know there are challenges that you're working with, and that actually has brought in a lot of opportunities. So, Ms. Ramadevi, can you briefly talk about the challenges and the opportunities that the government's initiative has brought in, right, before we go into the Q&A section?
Yeah, sure, Ramesh. Well, I think some of the opportunities and challenges Sridhar has mentioned, they are more or less similar to the government. Yeah, coming to 3 or 4 key challenges that I would like to share with you is, one is, of course, lack of awareness within the government. For that, we're already conducting a number of workshops, to various departments, to our own IT staff, and we are also planning a series of workshops. That's one thing that we are taking care of. But the biggest challenge for the government is procurement of cloud services. Because the traditional procurement, as I said, we usually give an RFP. We actually outline, the line items, like we need this much, compute, this much storage, whatever. And it was pretty easy. Of course, there are challenges in that, but those are different challenges. But now, you have, different CSPs offering, totally different services. The breadth of services are huge. If you want to really, list out in an Excel sheet, they run into hundreds of lines of, line items. So in fact, and each, the service definitions are again different for each of these services, depth of feature, it could be quality, it could be SLA, or even the unit of pricing. So, so service definitions vary. The breadth of services are offered, differ from CSP to CSP. The pricing models, there are again different pricing models offered by different CSPs for the same service again, and certain CSPs bundle services together, and offer it. So how do we actually, in fact, we carried out an exercise to empanel various cloud service providers so that it becomes easy for the government departments to procure cloud services. They should be able to just identify the requirements, put it in a template, and, get the code. But when we actually started this exercise, again, the kind of service providers that we have are again different. Some service CSPs offer public pricing models, catalogs and all, whereas there are different set of companies, they actually offer catalog of services. So how do we bring in a balance between, a range of cloud service providers? So if tools or certain solutions that can actually simplify the procurement process, that will be great benefit for the government. Because as I said earlier, government is one of the biggest consumer of infrastructure services. It could run into lakhs of crores of rupees if you put together the entire country's requirements. If you look at the GEM portal, you would get an idea, what is the size of the infrastructure procurement. It could be, as Jankiram was mentioning, earlier we used to think, okay, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. But in the government, it's mostly the first two that we mostly procure. It's PaaS and IaaS. So that's the biggest challenge, and I see ample opportunities for different startups to come out with solutions in that area. The second important challenge that we are facing is, all the CSPs, they do not actually help us in migrating the services or moving to the cloud or deployment to the cloud. We need a managed service provider. Again, we actually recently migrated workloads of Arogyasri project. It's a big workload, So we faced a lot of challenges because the department was under the impression that the CSP will actually help them in doing this job. But the CSP said, no, this is not our job. So then we had to rope in as MSP, to do that job. So that is one area where, there's a lot of potential for different companies to offer the services. Right now, we have 2 or 3 companies that are working with us, while Control has also helped us in certain, projects. And the other one, migration is a big pain point for us, especially in the government. We have legacy systems, and how do we migrate? And most by default, every department looks at like it's lift and shift rather than optimizing, re-architecting the whole solution. The default thing they do is lift and shift. That increases the cost. As a result, what they say, oh my God, cloud is so expensive. Let us go back to our, original, conventional. That's another area where, there's a lot of potential for entrepreneurs to come out with, interesting solutions. Then the fourth one is security. This is the biggest mindset change that we need within the government. As soon as we say you have to actually procure cloud services, the first thing that they say, oh my God, it's cloud, it's not secure. My on-prem is more secure than cloud is the default mindset that we have in the government.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So can we actually, there are security tools available, and we are also telling, identifying certain compliances, standards, which all the CSPs should adhere to. So we are saying if these CSPs adhere to these standards, then your applications will be safe and so on. But still, if there are certain security tools which makes it easier for the departments, like for these type of requirement, website deployment, simple applications, these are the security requirements. Some kind of cataloging that will really help. That's an area. Yeah, there are a lot many, but I'll actually pause here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ramadev. We will go through some of these as part of the CoE activities, right? We will pick up certain areas that needs immediate attention and see how we can develop knowledge, skill sets, and services around those areas. So yeah, there are a few questions. I know we cannot take a lot of questions because our chief guest is just Mr. Jayesh Ranjan has joined a few minutes ago, but I'll take a few of them. I can club a couple of questions together. This is for Jankiram. Jankiram, there are 2 questions which is very specific from the skill set perspective. One is from Sri Priya Krishna. She's asking, can someone in the panel tell us about how quantum is going to make impact in the cloud? And there's one more question on skill set, which I will add together, which is for upcoming graduates, which cloud services give more job opportunities, which is going to be great in the market? Is it Azure, AWS, or GCP, right? So that's a question. So if you can take both these questions together, Jankiram, it will be great. Briefly, because we have a lot more questions to answer. Yeah,
I know. So quantum computing is very new. It's even very hard to define what is quantum computing and how it is relevant or how it is aligned with the traditional computing. But one good news is most of the cloud providers, including Amazon, Microsoft, IBM, they're all investing heavily in making quantum computing cloud aligned, which means you can use the same set of tools, so same set of approaches to even deal with quantum computing. So this is one of the very early, very nascent set of technologies that are coming up on cloud. So it's too early to talk about that. Now, the second question, which is almost like an FAQ for any undergraduate or any graduate, is which cloud to go after. Actually, there is no one-liner answer for that, because every cloud is unique and every cloud is very similar. So it is very hard to say, learn so-and-so cloud platform and there are more jobs. That is not really the way to look at it. Instead, as I mentioned, go back to your fundamentals, learn an operating system, learn virtualization, learn automation, understand DevOps, and then choose your stream, pick your cloud and invest in it. Every cloud is growing at a significant rate. So, if you look at the market share, all of them are doing really well. And once you pick up one cloud technology or cloud platform, it's very easy for you to map to other. So it's more important for you to pick one and understand it thoroughly and invest in that before you look at others.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks. There's one question which I can answer, which are financial institutions like banks, insurance companies ready to migrate to cloud over the years? If yes, how are the security concerns being addressed to these customers? Yes, security is a big question, as Rama Devi mentioned, even from a government perspective, from the consumer perspective, even she got a lot of these questions when government adopted cloud. But yes, these questions have been addressed. There are concerns, but these concerns have been addressed over a period of time. Technologies have matured. We do have lots of security concerns being addressed in the cloud, and you'll be surprised that financial institutions were the first vertical industry to actually adopt cloud when it came by 3-4 years ago. It was a surprise to a lot of us in the industry, but the financial industry was the first industry to actually adopt cloud in a big way. The second question was, in your experience over the years, how governments are aligned to new technology development in cloud and assess new startups and meeting their goals to become unicorns. I think that has been addressed by Rama Devi. She is literally looking for startups to help her and the government adopt services, migrate to newer services. All the governments, I mean, the paper that Rama Devi alluded to is something that you should all read. I think it is in the public domain, where government wants to adopt cloud, right? And then there's one more question. Procurement and licensing of solutions on the cloud are a bit different. What are trends for solution providers to offer solutions on cloud, and how the organizations are approaching procuring solutions? So Kiran, can you briefly answer this? Because it's coming to procuring solutions, you must have gone through some of these, maybe a one-line or a two-line answers, because we're running out of time.
No, so it's actually, we've been with the cloud from the day zero. We haven't actually went into the procurement world. So yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. That's a Vasan, that's a question that we'll have to take up outside of this. And Ram Maruri has a question where, as HYSEA as an NGO, are you willing to associate with other NGOs? We can definitely look at synergies from your NGOs, the Lead India Foundation USA. Yes, please contact me or any one of us, Bharani, Isaac, from HYSEA today, and or Srini, and we can talk about this further. So with this, I would like to close this session. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. I know there are a few more questions which I cannot take now because for want of time, but thanks, Sridhar. Thanks, Kiran. Thanks, Rama Devi. Thanks, Jankiram. It was a very, very good session. I mean, we could have gone. We should have done a 4-hour session, not a 45-minute session, because I learned a lot personally. I'm sure all the participants would have learned a lot. We will definitely have a lot more sessions from a CoE perspective. So the CoE is planning to continue to have regular sessions. It would be in the form of tech talks. It would be in the form of fireside chats. It would be in the form of workshops or boot camps. So we will be picking up various activities over the next few months. We will be launching a calendar of activities that we will do. And we will have activities almost every other week. So we propose to have smaller activities every alternate weeks and a few weekend activities, in-person weekend activities and a few activities over Zoom calls also. We will be publishing some of these activities shortly. And the whole idea for the CoE is to actually bring in and create this body of knowledge where we can all work together, create and provide solutions, help each other adopt cloud. So that's where we are. And with this, I would like to close this panel. Thank all the esteemed panelists for taking time today. And over to you, Neeraja.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ramesh. That was a great session. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thanks, Sridhar.
Thanks, Ramesh.
Thank you. Thanks, Kiran.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Raman. Neeraja, over to you.
Thank you all for an panel discussion. We are certain with patrons like you, the CoE will be able to fulfill its commitment to strengthen the cloud ecosystem in the city and the state. Thank you once again. A very warm welcome to our chief guest, Shri Jayesh Ranjan. Thank you, sir, for joining us today. I now invite Mr. Bharani Arol, President HYSEA and CEO InfoPeers, to share his thoughts.
Respected Chief Guest, Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, Principal Secretary, IT and CA and Industry Department, Government of Telangana. Mr. Nasim Rao, Executive Vice President, Infosys and past President, HYSEA. Mr. Isaac Rajkumar, Ramesh Swaminathan, Executive and Management Committee members of HYSEA, leaders of the IT industry, distinguished speakers, our HYSEA Secretariat team, ladies and gentlemen. Very good afternoon to all of you. And it gives me great pleasure inviting you all to this milestone event of the launch of HYSEA Cloud Center of Excellence. As many of you are aware, HYSEA's focus areas are fostering innovation ecosystem, nurturing competency and skill development, promoting SME growth, enhancing infrastructure, supporting emerging corridors and facilitating CSR programs, and thus creating an environment conducive to the growth of IT industry in Hyderabad. Thanks to Isaac, our Innovation Forum leader, for covering all the initiatives of Innovation Forum in his address. This forum, like any other forum of HYSEA, constantly thrives to serve a member community and the Hyderabad IT industry at large, with many impactful programs and initiatives. Just to recollect, a year ago, immediately after assuming the role as the president of HYSEA, while addressing the general body, I shared a vision to create a center of excellence for cloud computing, among other initiatives. A year later, here we are making this a reality. The journey was not quite simple till this moment. Our team deliberated internally on this purpose, modalities, meeting with major cloud platform providers and validating it from all perspectives, and was determined to move forward. A special thanks to Isaac and Ramesh Vishwanathan for leading this effort with great determination, perseverance, and passion. Unlike the other digital technologies, cloud has matured relatively more and has been rapidly disrupting the businesses from a process, infrastructure, and mobility standpoints. The cloud adoption is picking up with incredible momentum. According to Gartner, global public cloud spending is forecast to reach $332 billion in 2021, with a huge increase of 23.1% from 2020. Cloud in its many forms is a critical enabler for broader business transformation. It helps connect systems, data, devices, and emerging technology in ways that can help companies respond more quickly, agilely, and innovatively. The COVID-19 pandemic has further increased the speed and scale of cloud adoption. But while cloud is top of mind for everyone, there's still work to be done to manage cloud complexity. The concept of HYSEA Cloud CoE evolved from the fact that we need a neutral entity that will create and support an innovation ecosystem promoting adoption of cloud technologies across CSPs. The target audience would be industry, represented by HYSEA member companies, employees of member companies looking to adopt cloud as career, government, startups, and students. To summarize the goals of the CoE, number first is promote consumption and adoption of cloud technologies, create an employable pool of talent with cloud technologies, create a support system to build solutions and services on cloud that includes creation, adoption, and migration, create a body of knowledge, as Ramesh mentioned, that is accessible for all practitioners, engage and bring in tech experts from various tech providers to create this body of knowledge, leverage government as an enabler and consumer of the services and solutions of the CoE. We will extend our support to the government's cloud adoption strategy. On this front, we've been deliberating on various models and will continue to work with global cloud majors, including our Hyderabad, Bread Control S organization, thanks Sridhar, and onboard them into the CoE. We propose to work very closely with the Telangana government on the cloud strategy and supporting the same. I'm proud to state that HYSEA Cloud CoE will amplify and strengthen the cloud ecosystem in Hyderabad and Telangana. My sincere thanks to Mr. Jayesh Ranjan for accepting our invite and gracing the occasion today. When I requested him to participate in this event, he not only accepted readily, but also came back with his ideas and thoughts on how we could build a sustainable cloud ecosystem in Telangana with government's collaboration. Many thanks to you, sir, for your kind presence today as a chief guest, and I'm sure with your support, our mission towards creating a world-class cloud ecosystem through this Cloud Center of Excellence in Hyderabad and Telangana will be a reality soon. Thanks, Nari, for your presence today as a guest of honor and your continued support to our initiatives, particularly during my term, and your constant feedback being a past president of HYSEA certainly helps us to move in the right direction. Gentlemen, we look forward to hearing from both of you from many different perspectives on the overall cloud ecosystem, emerging trends despite the current maturity levels, government policies to promote cloud adoption, reaction to the of the desired talent pool, opportunities in the space for SME and specifically for startups, etc. We had an exceptional panel discussion today. And many thanks to the distinguished speakers for their incredible insights and Ramesh for moderating this session flawlessly. Let me end my speech with doing this closing remarks. Sustained outcomes only happen when you think holistically and bring together the right blend of people, process, and technology on a common platform. Our CoE has all these ingredients. Our passionate and innovative HYSEA community of volunteers and leaders will help position the CoE on the cloud for days to come and beyond and bring about the desired outcome and success. Many thanks again and best wishes to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Bharani. Hopefully, HYSEA's efforts towards setting up this cloud CoE will help our city and state to become the go-to place for developing the next-gen services and solutions on the cloud. Thank you once again. I now have the pleasure of introducing our guest of honor, Mr. Narasimha Rao, Executive Vice President of Infosys Limited. Nari, as he is popularly known, is head of Cloud, Infrastructure and Security Solutions Services line, and also heads the Validation Solutions Services line at Infosys. Additionally, he's on the Delivery Council of Infosys, which provides leadership to the global delivery organization. He's a mentor for India-based delivery centers at Infosys and on the Diversity and Inclusivity Council, driving the D&I agenda for the organization. Nari has been with Infosys for 20 plus years and has played leadership roles across various service lines and industry segments. Nari has also been part of Infosys Hyderabad leadership team for this period and has seen it grow to be consistently among the top exporters in the state for the last 10 plus years. With over 40,000 plus employees in Hyderabad today, Infosys is one of the top employers in the state. Nari has been active member of HYSEA leadership team for 15 plus years now, and he has played various roles in the managing committee, including being the president for the period 2008 to 2010. Nari is an engineering graduate from College of Engineering, Osmania University, Hyderabad, and an alumnus of XLRI Jamshedpur, where he pursued his master's in business management. A warm welcome to you, Nari.
Thank you, Nirita. So I'll get started. Is
Yes.
that the plan? Okay. So once again, thank you, Nirja, for that introduction. It's always very awkward to listen to your own introduction being done, but thank you for doing it so well. Before I proceed, I want to congratulate and compliment Bharani, Isaac, and everybody else for conceptualizing the cloud CoE at HYSEA. I think there is absolutely no doubt that today cloud is the most impactful technology out there. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind when I say that. And I want to once again congratulate the HYSEA team, Barney, Isaac, and everybody else for picking up the cloud CoE as an area to focus on. I also want to thank Mr. Jayesh Ranjan and the government of Telangana for partnering with us in this journey. I think the support we receive in the state of Telangana is immense from the government. And this partnership in setting up this CoE goes a long way in the growth of the industry and in our ability to serve our global clients. So thank you, Jayesh, to you and your team for actively working with us for so many years now and making sure that we are able to do well for the industry as well as for the state and all of us locally here. Now, what I want to do is maybe take the next 5 to 7 minutes. I think all of us probably are short of time. Is talk about what are the business imperatives for cloud today. I think and as introduced, I lead the global cloud infrastructure and cybersecurity practice for Infosys, we have been working on cloud-based programs for our customers for over a decade. But this has changed dramatically in the last 2-3 years. And traditionally, when cloud was spoken about, cloud was always seen as a play to move your infrastructure workloads to cloud, to reduce your CapEx requirements, convert capital expenditure into operating expenditure, bring in variability into your costs of managing your infrastructure and stuff like that. So primarily, cloud was seen as a cost play for the most part, was seen as a play between OpEx and CapEx and OpEx for the most part. But for the last 2-3 years, this has changed dramatically. And if at all the pandemic has accelerated this, the pandemic has changed and actually made cloud a lot more relevant for all businesses globally. In fact, at Infosys, we recently did a survey, over 2,000 respondents globally, about what are the businesses looking at cloud for. And one of the first times I've seen a survey which has unambiguously correlated business outcomes to cloud deployments. And today, when I talk about cloud, there are multiple reasons why businesses are looking at cloud today. And cost was one of the earliest reasons. It's probably not such a big factor anymore. Of course, cost is important, but there are much bigger objectives businesses are trying to achieve. And when we looked at those business imperatives which are driving cloud adoption, we came across 4 or 5 broad reasons why businesses are looking at cloud today. And we've been able to correlate 2 of them very, very directly to a top line and bottom line performance of these global corporations. Now, I'd like to call these 2 reasons, the 2 business imperatives why cloud transformation is making an impact in top line as the reasons of offense. And there are 2 other reasons which are more reasons of defense. These are things which enterprises need to know to protect their business. Equally important, but they obviously are seen as more as a risk mitigation plans and not necessarily as a revenue or a bottom line play. Now, when I come to how does cloud help top line or bottom line company, and our survey actually gave us insight that with cloud deployments, when done properly, you can see anywhere from $400 to $450 billion of increase in bottom line for the industries we studied, for the geographies we studied, and that's a good 10 to 11% increase in the profitability of these companies, which is very significant. And where is this correlating to? What are the kind of deployments which are helping it? First and foremost is today, cloud transformation is seen as an enabler for faster time to market. The speed of business, I think, is absolutely critical in today's world. How well can you take products and services to your customers? How can you cut down the lead times? How can you launch new products and services? How can you enroll new customers, get into new markets? The speed of doing business, I think cloud is helping immensely. Wherever cloud has been used significantly to improve the go-to-market for corporates, we have seen direct correlation to top line and bottom line growth. The second area where we see significant correlation between a cloud deployment and the outcomes for businesses is one about innovation and collaboration. I think we see that as another area where cloud has helped enterprises to innovate faster, to collaborate better. And by that, I mean that all of us in the last 18 months or so have been working remotely, have been working with global partners, have been working with global teams, global customers. But to bring all of this together, to launch new products and services, the collaboration element is absolutely critical. And cloud technologies are enabling that collaboration in a big way to bring teams together, to bring various stakeholders in the supply chain together. And whenever enterprises have looked at cloud to bring in greater collaboration, they have seen direct correlation to top line, bottom line. Likewise, I think today all of us speak about the power of artificial intelligence and insights. We also see that whenever enterprises have used artificial intelligence and the power of data analytics with the power of cloud together, they're able to see significantly valuable insights, which directly correlate to top line and bottom line performance. So fundamentally, cloud is helping businesses from purely top line outcomes and bottom line outcomes by improving the speed of business, by enabling far better collaboration, thereby servicing their products and services better, and also by getting far valuable insights, leveraging the power of artificial intelligence with the power of cloud and data on cloud. So those are the offense reasons where we were able to correlate significantly the top line and bottom line performance to cloud implementation. Equally, I think there are two other reasons which are risk mitigation for cloud. One is about security. I think some of the previous panel members spoke about the impediment to going into cloud was the so-called perceived lack of security, where on-prem was seen as more secure. But I think we've come a long way on that dimension. Today, enterprises actually have started questioning if their on-prem infrastructure is less secure than what they thought it was. And they now realize that cloud technologies have come a long way and offer a very viable, secure environment for their business. So security is a big reason why cloud transformation is happening in a big way. And if at all, there is one thing which we've also witnessed in pandemic, among a lot of things going well, few things going badly, all the associate customers accessing an enterprise assets and enterprise resources on the internet, much wider surface area, and people connecting from all kinds of unprotected networks and devices, the onus of protecting the company, the security aspect of it is much higher in the correct hyper-connected, dispersed workplace and enterprise. And their cloud is enabling secure the businesses in a big way. Last but not the least, I think resilience is a huge requirement today for enterprises. If there is one thing which COVID has taught us, it is that our enterprises or businesses were not as resilient as where they needed to be. And today, cloud is helping these businesses completely change their business models, make them resilient for any future such disruptions to business. I think what COVID will enable us is, once we are done with all these transformations, that businesses will be far better prepared for any eventuality tomorrow, any disruption to tomorrow, and still service their customers globally without too much interruption. So fundamentally, cloud as a transformation is helping businesses. Two big offensive reasons, two big reasons of offense, and two big reasons of defense. And they're making a big impact on enterprises globally. And we've been able to correlate cloud deployments directly to top line and bottom line performance. And that is a big source of excitement. That is a big source of opportunity for all people interested in cloud and going to market to provide, whether it's cloud infrastructure or cloud-based applications or cloud-based solutions, cloud-based services. I think for all of this, there is a huge momentum out there in the market. It is not an exaggeration that the time for cloud is now. I think cloud as a technology has been there for the last 10 years, like I said, or more. But I think the real pace of acceleration of cloud deployments has picked up in the last 18 months. It's further going to accelerate in the next 3 to 5 years. And it is our view, and that's what we see in the market, that cloud is going to be an underlying technology for almost any transformation business are undergoing. All of us hear about digital transformation, but there's really no digital transformation without cloud out there. And to that extent, this cloud CoE, which HYSEA and the federal government are coming together, is very timely. I think very useful. It's going to help us, in some sense, get a share of this new opportunity out there. And I think personally, I'm so excited about where the cloud market is headed and the opportunity which is ahead of us. And this is not an opportunity which is 5 years from now or 10 years from now. Cloud is an opportunity for today. Anything we do today is going to give us immense rewards. So to that extent, I want to compliment Barney and team for picking cloud as an area to focus on. And I think that will help the industry in a big way. Thank you again, once again, Barney, Nirja, and Isaac for giving me this opportunity. I think, like I said, I'm very excited about what you guys have started. And I'm looking forward to benefiting from what we do and collectively growing the cloud ecosystem in Telangana and Hyderabad. Thank you, and I yield the floor back to you.
Thank you, Neri. Thank you for your thoughts on business outcomes from cloud transformation. I mean, so many compelling reasons for businesses and enterprises to move to cloud. And especially coming from Infosys, I think it is more credible. Thank you so much. Thank you once again. I'll just share my screen. It's a pleasure to invite Sri Jayesh Ranjan, IAS Principal Secretary, IT&C Department, to formally launch the HYSEA Cloud CoE.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to launch HYSEA Cloud CoE. Best wishes.
Thank you so much, sir, for launching HYSEA Cloud CoE. May I now request you to address the gathering?
Sure. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, fellow panelists, all the attendees. This is indeed a very milestone day for us in the technology world. We have a number of centers of excellence in Hyderabad already. And in the morning, I was listing them out. We have a center of excellence on data sciences and artificial intelligence. We have one on cybersecurity. We have one on animation and gaming. We have one on e-waste. And very recently, we have not yet formally announced it, but we have one on additive manufacturing. And what is getting launched today adds to that rich spectrum of all the technology verticals, which are becoming more and more important. In fact, more than 6 years ago, when I first became the IT secretary, we used to hear a buzzword very, very commonly, which was SMAC, SMAC. And obviously, these were the popular technology verticals in those times: social, mobility, analytics, and cloud. C was for cloud. Subsequently, within a matter of 2-3 years, lots of new bunch of emerging technologies, very exciting technologies came up. And we all know what these are: artificial intelligence for sure, machine learning, IoT, blockchain, and so on. But not to say that the importance of SMAC has gone down. Social remains important. Mobility has become such an important tool in our digitalization journey. But and analytics is something which fuels lots of the work that we are doing within the government also. But the importance of cloud is becoming more and more and more prominent. And therefore, in this context, I'm delighted that HYSEA has decided to set up the Center of Excellence. And I'm feel very proud that Telangana government is one of the collaborators, one of the active participants in the Center of Excellence. So I would like to start by congratulating Mr. Bharani Arun, who is the current HYSEA president. I'm sure he would have thought of this concept, and with the help of his colleagues, Mr. Rajkumar, Mr. Ramesh Vishwanathan, and Mr. Srinivasrao, and others, it would have been given a more concrete shape. I'm also very happy that Mr. Narasimha Rao, or Nari, who actually handles this theme, this vertical rather, for such a large cloud player like Infosys, has also been an integral part of putting together this Center of Excellence. So my congratulations to the entire team. I was also listening to the panel discussion. I could not catch the entirety of it, but the bits that I was listening to, they made some very, very useful and very pertinent points. And I completely agree that the technology is mature, but the pace of adoption is still very slow. And I also support my colleague Ramadevi, who mentioned that mostly it seems to be a mindset issue. It is not to say that I cannot afford cloud or there is some kind of information gap, but certain bottleneck, for instance, how do you handle the legacy in-premise storage and security issues, which Mr. Narasimha also spoke about. These are some of the important challenges and concerns. And if you are able to address them by preparing simple toolkits, so let us say not even the government, let us say, an SMB. As all of us know, in the post-COVID reality, the pace of digitalization, the spread of digitalization is definitely going to cover small businesses also. We have already started seeing this, how small kirana stores in the neighborhoods of Hyderabad, for example, have started to convert their physical stores into a digital store and prepare digital inventories, prepare digital ways of virtual ways of taking orders and so on and so forth. So many such small businesses, etc., will also tomorrow definitely be in a position to utilize cloud services. So how do we ensure that their needs are met? Their needs will be small individually, but collectively, if you look at thousands and thousands of SMBs, how do you ensure that something which is affordable, something which is easy to implement is prepared? And these are some of the themes that our CoE should work into. Of course, service providers, we know who they are. Many of them have been empaneled under the Meghraj policy. Similarly, in Telangana as well, as my colleague would have mentioned, we are one of the few states which has a dedicated data center policy and a cloud adoption policy, a cloud adoption framework. And that cloud adoption framework has been made more or less mandatory for all government departments. And one after the other, we are tackling large users of storage, of data storage, and helping them transition to cloud. And my colleague gave a good example of Arogyasri. So we are also on a learning curve. Arogyasri example has told us how to prepare the department for this transition, how to ensure that the procurement process does not have too many hidden costs. This is again something I would like to re-emphasize because lots of industry players are here. And we should also be very kind of transparent in the kind of deliverables that we assure, and the pricing or the costing that we charge for each of the deliverables. Also, the CoE should also look at skilling in a very big way. The government, as many of you know, has a dedicated skilling institute, which is called TASK, the Telangana Academy for Skills and Knowledge. HYSEA already has ongoing programs with TASK, but to the best of my recollection, we don't have anything very specific to cloud computing or offering cloud as a managed service, etc., etc. And if enough number of resources are available today, then the confidence in potential users, be it government departments, be it enterprises, and as I said, within enterprises, we should not lose sight of the huge opportunity that small businesses are going to provide. The numbers, their individual requirements may be small, as I said, of storage space, cloud space, etc., etc. We also have good models which the big ones provide. I'm sure Mr. Sridhar is listening in. Controllers itself has good service models, but we have come across other service models also, wherein, for instance, again, I don't want to take names of anyone, but as a government, we ourselves have seen some such offerings. For example, X number of cloud credits are made free of cost available to the user, and thereafter there is a kind of a variable model of pay per use, etc., etc. So different ways of customizing your offerings, your services are available in the market, and maybe the CoE can look at which is the most optimum way of providing good quality services with high SLAs, and also ensuring that the component of affordability, etc., etc., is there for us. One other thing which I would feel that the CoE should look into, apart from technology, is about policy. Now, many of us would know that the national government intends to bring a personal data protection bill. I mean, a personal data protection law, rather. It is in the form of a bill today, which has been placed before the parliament. The parliament has referred it to a select committee, and for a variety of reasons, including political differences, etc. The bill is still with the parliament select committee. The draft has been placed in public domain for comments. As a state government, we have also made our comments known. As many of you would know, the draft was prepared by a committee headed by retired Justice Sri Krishna. So while data privacy, etc., is at the focus of the bill or the forthcoming act, but it also has lots of requirements and regulations regarding localization, data localization. How do you store? How do you ensure that data is stored in our country itself? and not elsewhere, etc., etc. So also gives an opportunity to look at cloud as an opportunity or a facility where lots of this localization can happen. But as I said, the bill has not yet been passed because there are lots of critics of that bill. There are many big companies, lots of e-commerce companies, which are not happy with the features of the bill. Lots of startups have actually complained about the bill. In fact, I myself, I remember 3-4 years ago, many startups had actually sent representations to me and asking us to forward them to parliamentary committee and so on and so forth, where they had mentioned that demanding data localization, etc., within the country will kind of add to their compliance costs, add to their will subtract from their agility and so on and so forth. So when we look at making India or Telangana or Hyderabad as the cloud capital, what provisions of this law or the forthcoming act will be of relevance to us? Which are the provisions which people are not happy with? How does one strike a balance between the two? So there's an opportunity of lots of policy studies, policy advocacy also. So these 4 areas in particular: skilling, policy research and policy advocacy, making cloud a easy to adopt and affordable to adopt tool for small businesses, and the point which my colleague mentioned, helping government agencies or large users which have lots of legacy issues to resolve. How does one help that? And if we are able to showcase that in Telangana, I'm sure all states in the country and many other countries also, and user agencies in other countries also grapple with these issues. So this is the best time for CoE to get cracking, get into all these discussions, into all these programs. And a lot is happening in the world of cloud computing, cloud storage today. I myself am on multiple mailing lists in which I receive lots of such information, lots of bulletins. There are some very good webinars, seminars, etc., which are happening globally. Next week also there is some, not next week, but in August first week. I think it's on August 5th or 6th. Something very significant webinar on cloud is happening. I've been asked to be a part of it. So let the CoE also take the initiative, take the lead to bring thought leaders together, to bring users together, understand users' expectations, service providers' requirements, and be that body which integrates all such strands of activities, stakeholders, requirements, expectations, etc., and comes with good suggestions, plans, offerings, etc. So I'm very sure that the cloud CoE in Hyderabad will be a very rich addition to whatever we are trying to do in our technology space, and will help Telangana truly become the cloud capital of the country. So good wishes to all of you, and thanks a lot for inviting me for this launch session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your encouraging words and all your suggestions. I'm sure ISEC and the rest of the team will take into consideration all the suggestions that you have given. You have been a great supporter of every initiative that HYSEA has ever undertaken. I hope together with all stakeholders, the CoE creates an ecosystem for better adoption of cloud technologies in our region. Thank you once again. May I now request Mr. Srinivas Rao, CEO HYSEA, to propose the vote of thanks.
Thanks, Nirja. Good afternoon. Thanks everyone, the audience and the panelists and the guests for joining us on this important day in our journey. I think while some of the panelists and Mr. Jayesh himself has said, Nari said, it's maturing this technology, but so much more to be done for the local ecosystem, both from our member perspective and the talent supply chain perspective. That's precisely the starting thought process for this, CoE. And thanks, Barney, for visioning this and bringing us this far. I'd like to thank the Innovation Forum led by Isaac and the other team members for getting us from that concept to the launch stage today. And we all know that there is a lot of journey ahead of us from the launch now, and we need to be dynamic and we need to evolve this and take it as it comes, because there is nothing cast in stone. These technologies change rapidly, needs change rapidly. I think we are all prepared for that, and it's in capable hands, Rajesh, Swaminathan, that we know. And thanks, it's nothing better than having this wonderful panel discuss cloud today to get us started with this launch. Thanks to Sridhar, Janakiram, Kiran, and Ramadevi. You shared, your different perspectives, your different journeys, your different views of looking at cloud. And I'm sure this is not a one-day affair, and we'll continue to look forward to your association with the CoE in the days to come. There'll be many more sessions, webinars, talks, and we will be leaning on to you for that support. And we look forward to that. And Ramesh, again, great job moderating and getting the best out of this panel. And thanks, Nari. It was wonderful having you today. Your business insights, access to global clients across different verticals would really, tell us what's happening in the world and how cloud moved from a cost proposition to a top line proposition. That's when really a technology becomes business enabler. We all know that, right? Everything at one time starts as a cost proposition, but the moment it moves to a top line enabler, that's when it really speeds up adoption. We all know that, and thanks for sharing your views. And Mr. Jayesh, you've always been a supporter of HYSEA and what we do. And thanks for joining us today. And not just joining as chief guest and launching the CoE, but also going deep into what should be the next steps. That's what we truly appreciated. And then offering to partner with HYSEA in this journey. And that's what really matters to us most. And thank you for that. And we look forward to your continued guidance. And I want to close by congratulating my colleague Neerja. This Zoom journey started in March. And she continues to deliver flawlessly, session after session. There are so many things that can go wrong, but I'm very proud to say that not in one single HYSEA session, anything has gone wrong. So thanks and congrats, Neerja, for your meticulous preparation and attention to detail and getting everyone together and arranging a wonderful session. So thanks, and we look forward. And as we slowly start returning to work, we hope to meet each one in person and do a lot more together to make this CoE really practically helping the stakeholders. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for participating.
Bye.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ramesh.
Thank you.